Endoscopic Management of Polyposis Syndromes, European Society of Gastrointestinal Endoscopy, ESGE Guideline. Introduction. Colorectal cancer, CRC, is the fourth most incident cancer and is the second commonest cause of cancer-related death in Europe. While the majority of CRC is sporadic, twin studies have shown that up to 35% of CRC cases have a familial component. Approximately 2% to 5% of CRC cases are genetically determined by mutations in the adenomatous polyposis coli, APC, MUTYH, DNA mismatch repair, or other predisposing genes. Although hereditary CRC syndromes are rare, it is of great importance that clinicians recognize these syndromes so they can make appropriate management decisions for both patients and their family members who may also be at risk. Because all patients with polyposis syndrome are at high risk of developing gastrointestinal (GI) malignancies, endoscopic surveillance and interventions are required to prevent the development of cancer or to detect cancer at an early stage. Currently, there is uncertainty about the surveillance intervals and optimal endoscopic management, and guidelines regarding polyposis syndromes are limited. Therefore, the aim of this evidence-based and consensus guideline, commissioned by the European Society of Gastrointestinal Endoscopy, ESGE, is to provide clinicians with a comprehensive overview of the management options regarding endoscopic surveillance and interventions for the most important polyposis syndromes, namely familial adenomatous polyposis, FAP, MUTYH-associated polyposis, MAP, Peutz-Jeghers syndrome, PJS, juvenile polyposis syndrome, JPS, and serrated polyposis syndrome, SPS. There are several other polyposis-associated genes, including P10, GREM1, POL or POLD1, and biallelic NTHL1, that will not be discussed in this guideline because of their low prevalence. A second guideline will focus on the endoscopic management of familial and hereditary non-polyposis syndromes. Methods. The ESGE commissioned this guideline, Chair JVH, and appointed a guideline leader, MVL, who invited the listed authors to participate in the project development. The key questions were prepared by the coordinating team, MVL and VR, and were then approved by the other members. The coordinating team formed task force subgroups, each with its own leader, and divided the key topics among these tasks. The process of developing the guideline included telephone conferences, meetings, and online and face-to-face discussions among the guideline committee members from July 2018 to June 2019. Searches were performed in Medline, Embase, and Cochrane. Articles were selected through title and abstract screening, followed by full-text screening. The results of the search were presented to all members of the Guideline Committee, and statements were created by consensus. Evidence levels and recommendation strength were assessed using the Grading of Recommendations Assessment, Development, and Evaluation (GRADE) system. Further details on the methodology of ESGE guideline development have been reported elsewhere. In May 2019, a draft prepared by MVL and VR was sent to all group members. After the agreement of all group members had been obtained, the manuscript was reviewed by a member of the ESGE Governing Board and an external reviewer, and was sent for further comments to the ESGE national societies and individual members. After this, it was submitted to Endoscopy for publication. This guideline was issued in 2019 and will be considered for update in 2024. Any interim updates will be noted on the ESGE website, http://www.esge.com/esge-guidelines.html. As literature on polyposis syndromes is limited, a Delphi procedure was organized within the Guideline Committee, consisting of 2 rounds, in order to gain consensus. All Guideline Committee members, except for the research fellow, were asked to complete the online Delphi questionnaire in isolation, and responses were anonymized to prevent participants from influencing each other. In each round, all the Guideline Committee members were first asked to rate all the statements with their level of agreement using a 7-point Likert scale. Very strongly agree, agree, neither agree nor disagree, disagree, strongly disagree, or very strongly disagree. If the statement was not their area of expertise, participants had the option to opt out. Secondly, participants were asked if the statement was clear and had the opportunity to write down their suggestions for improvement. After the first round of Delphi voting, all statements were discussed and adjusted if necessary during a face-to-face meeting. Consensus was reached when at least 80% of the Guideline Committee members had voted either very strongly agree, or agree during the second round of the Delphi procedure.